Okay, so for duplicate detection, you're going to run it on both companies and contacts. I mean, I want to say do it once a month, but you might jump off a cliff if you do that. So I'd say at least once every quarter, so every 3 months. So for companies, again, you're just going to go into here, make sure this says new, owner, um, equals, and then I would just pull a list of pretty much everybody, except I'll delete obviously these guys, and that can stay in there. That's affiliated is the our consulting company. Yeah. You should be able to delete. I mean, you. Okay. So you selected all these people. You click add. So it's going to pull all of the companies in the system with these people being the owners, and then I would just click results. And then what you would do is from here. So obviously this lists, over 4,000 companies, almost 5. You're going to just check the checkbox. It's going to select all of them. This little magnifying glass up here, if you kind of hover over it, says detect duplicates, and you're going to put for all records on all pages. So it's going to search basically the entire report that you're going on. It's pretty easy. I mean, it's going to pop. It's going to ask you, so it's going to run it. Here it is here. Start time. Run this every 30 days or whatever, but even so, you don't want it to necessarily do it on its own, because then you're not going to be able to keep up with the reports either. Like, I mean, I guess you could just use the most up-to-date one or the one that ran the most recently, but I would just basically just run it whenever you need to. And then even if you were to type in it says your emails here, and then if you wanted to type in your name, it doesn't ever notify you when it's done, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. But what you'll have to do is you'll run the report, wait obviously a little while, and then this is where you're going to go into settings. And then from here, you're going to go into data management. And duplicate detection jobs. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so my duplicate detection jobs. And then whichever one, obviously, that you ran most recently, mine was on the 5th. I'll click here and I open it up. And I go to view duplicates. And this is the part, you can maximize it. This is the part that is terrible. So for instance, like obviously I see Alliance Disaster up here, and I see it down here as well. What I have to do is kind of scroll over, and you'll see that. So Steve owns it. Steve Gardner works for CRE, and then Scott has one too, and he works for Dryco. So let me see. So on the procedures thing that I sent you guys, it's kind of in the top part. It's in the top part of that page, kind of. It's underneath point number 2, where it says when you run a duplicate detection report, pay attention to the owner. So these are the 3 things you want to look for. So if it has the same owner, like if Steve's name was on both of these records, then you would want to merge them. So there's this merge button right here. You can merge it automatically, or you can select a master record, doesn't really matter. If there's different owners and they work with the same, but they work for the same company, so let's say that Scott Art owned this one and Gary Williams owned this one, it still needs to be merged, but you need to ask who actually owns it, basically. So what I would do is I would just make note of it. I'd write down the company name and the city and the state that they're in, and I'd call or email Gary and Scott and be like, hey, this is the link, like who actually owns this. And if they say like they both do, then I would actually go into the system and I would do a search for that company and find the date that it was created. And depending on who entered it in first is who actually owns it. So more oftentimes than not, I haven't had that problem yet. More oftentimes than not, what happens is one of the guys are just like, yeah, go ahead and let Gary have it. No, I don't care. You know what I mean? So it's not too much of a problem. But so if they have the same owner, merge them. If they've got different owners but work for the same company, check and then merge them. If they've got different owners and they're different companies, it's okay. So like this one, so Steve owns it and works for CRE. Scott owns this one and he works for Dryco. That's okay. Just leave it there. You're done. Don't even worry about that. If you keep scrolling down, like this one, I think I've gone through, and you want to select. Oh, go ahead. So as you move through these, as you move through these, you have to kind of click on the next, obviously on the next one when it highlights in blue, and then it pulls up this one down here. So again, Scott owns this one. Steve Gardner owns that one. So for instance, this is a fake. This one's a fake account. I mean, Big Daddy Restoration, odds are that doesn't exist. But the reason why the duplicate is coming up and you can see it is because of this phone number. So I see it here, and I see it here, and I see it here. So normally this is okay. So if it's for like a Belfour, and there's a bunch of different branches, that's fine. But if you see it, on a Belfour up here, and then you see it on like a JC Restoration or a Rapid Prep down here, that's not okay. And that has happened. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to go on to the next page for this. These literally go on for forever. So I click on GC Pro up here. GC Pro down here comes up. And see, the other thing I want you to pay attention to is the status. So up here, these should always be active. If you click on this one and you see it down here and it says status inactive, don't even worry about it because that means it's not coming up in search results anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I go to GC Pro, I see Steve owns this one and Rachel owns this one. So they both work for the same company. Odds are this one can be deleted because Rachel really isn't doing sales and marketing stuff anymore, so I can just delete it. Obviously, when it comes to CRE duplicates, like if Rachel and Steve have it, or if Pete and Dave have it, or something like that, you guys don't worry about any of that. That's not your job. So pay attention to just our salesmen. So Lauren's Restoration, I see down here that there's a couple of them. Yep. See, so Steve has this one, and he has it up here. So basically, he's got 3 in the system right now that have all of the same information. So we need to go in and probably just either we can merge these. Or delete one of them. It's, oh, I see what it's asking. Okay, so you want to merge with the one up there. Okay. So, does that make sense, though, as you're going through these? So, once you guys go through all the duplicate detection, and then you just go to here, settings, data management, duplicate detection jobs, and then you kind of go through. So, that's the pain in the butt of it. It kind of is what it is. If you guys, it'd almost be cool if you guys could almost switch off, because since you are running the report for every single salesman, it'd be cool if maybe like Annette did it for the first quarter, Jess did it for the next one, Annette, Jess, so it's done 4 times a year. Or if you guys want to run a report and you're like, okay, I'm going to do like A through S for companies, and you can do, T through Z or something like that. Because they are listed in alphabetical order. So however you guys want to do that, that's the duplicate detection. Oh, okay. Setting up dashboards. Okay, so how I kind of showed you guys before with, the advanced find isn't up anymore. So you have to create an advanced find first. So like this report, before you can build any type of dashboard. And I'm not going to go through building the actual report again, just because I know that there's several of them in here. So I'm just going to, you guys know how to do this part though. It's pretty easy to do. I'm going to show you how I built Joe's now. So I clicked on new, and for instance, and the thing is too, the easiest way to do this probably is to, so you build the report and you share it with Joe, and then just ask Joe for his credentials, how to log into CRM, and then build this dashboard for him, and then log him out and be like, okay, you're good to go. Because the reason why I could do it so easily was because Joe was in town, but he's not usually in town, so so you pick kind of the layout that you want, and you'll see later on as you're building these more and more for different salesmen that some layouts make more sense than others. So just a heads up, like maybe if I were to choose this one, it'd be better for Derek because I could put like in the big column, I would put like all of the activities that he has listed for, for this month or whatever. And then in each one of these, because he has 4 states that he pays attention to, so like Massachusetts, Connecticut, whatever. In those ones, I would choose like to show like the bar graph of how much I've done with each one or something like that. So for net right now, I'm going to pick this one. Go ahead and click create. And it brings up this kind of new, fresh dashboard. So I'm going to put in test for training on here. And then you can kind of choose how you want the data to look. I never use these bottom 3. It's always either going to be a graph or a list. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the graph. And the thing that I'm looking for is for companies. And see, under my view, see, these are all of these are the views or the reports that you've already created. So I'm going to go ahead and click, I'll do one that I did for Joe. And you'll do companies by owner most likely. Sometimes they'll be under industry, but most likely they'll be companies by owner. And you can see these are the ones from this month. Go ahead and click add there, and you see that they're listed. I'll show you guys how to pop this out and make it bigger, make it change a little bit differently, or look a little bit differently in a second. But let's say for over here, I wanted to go ahead and do my activities, and I just want to see, let's pull like activities for the last 30 days, add. And it doesn't look like anything's in there when it's a list. It never does, but it's in there, I promise. And even when you guys click save right now, it doesn't look like it saved it, but it did. So if it's just stuck like this, go ahead and click in your home. And then the first thing that should pop up is actually, what the frick? Come on. Oh, it didn't. Okay, but then I would click, so again, it's your dashboard, your initial screen that you open up, and if I scroll all the way down, test for training is down here. And you can see, like, these are all the activities for the last 30 days. I can actually search within here if I wanted to search for, like, Derek. It should bring up all of Derek's. Oh, just kidding. I lied. But, crap. But again, this is all the stuff that's planned for the next, or that was scheduled from the last 30 days. With this screen, what I want to point out with the graphs is that if you guys it's the Rubik's Cube is what it's been called now, thanks to Jessica's training group. But, if you click on that, it shows you a couple different things. So it shows you all the data that is being used to make this bar graph. And then actually, if you guys click on this plus sign, it gives you the ability to kind of change the way that the graph looks. So, I'm trying to think. So you want it, create it, so we'll do by owner. And we're going to, let's see if we can make this a bar graph. And this one should be, I'm not sure if we can do it like this. Oh, we can. Perfect. Okay. And then just go ahead and click save. You guys can kind of play around with this one. That's the best way to do it. So, otherwise, I think that's kind of it.